What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of February 21st through the 27th of 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all so much. Thanks for being here with me for this little weekly forecast, a little channeled astrology, but I definitely want to pull up some charts and show you some things that are on my mind about this week and March and April. We're kind of going to do a weekly, but I think we're going to look ahead a little bit because I want to show you, it's crazy some of the stuff that we have ahead of us. But, crazy is not always bad. Crazy can be fun. It can be exciting, magical. It can be a lot of things. This week's very interesting to me. I think, of course, we're in between full moon, new moon, so we don't have any big lunations. We are going to see that moon come into Scorpio to kind of start off the week, and it was a weird weekend. Maybe it seemed like it was weird for a lot of people, but I had Saturn square my Pluto, so I'll be honest, it was a very weird weekend, and Saturn on my North Node there's a lot of eighth house emotion going on, and I'm very Aquarian, very Capricorn, so it's big for me to feel that stuff and figure out ways to transform my life. But there was such a heavy emotion as we are in this Pisces season now, with Jupiter amplifying and strong, with Neptune there. We're going pretty far out there. You look at everything in Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, minus Uranus and the moon, of course. We are going into places, it's uncharted territory. It's really stuff you can't see with the eye. Even Saturn's pretty small and dull, but of course you can see Saturn with the eye. But whew, I hope everybody's doing well who does tune in and watch this. It was a very 12th house weekend. I feel like a lot of people had that, and we have such a strong collective 12th house right now with both rulers there and the sun, getting ready to have the sun conjunct Jupiter next week. So we're building up this whole week to the sun conjunct Jupiter. We are dissolving a lot of things from the past. It's a very karmic time. There's a dissolution of a lot of areas in our physical world, maybe in our own personal lives, and just in the world at large, of course, that we're getting ready to go to a next chapter here, and it's a chapter we've never been to before. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime chapter. So I think a lot of the work that we've been doing, and especially since 2020, is kind of getting brought up this week. And I'll go into why, but it does have to do with Venus and Mars, who are pacing with each other through Capricorn, of course, all the way through. And they're going to come to 22 degrees this week, and I think that's a very big deal. I think when you look at that 22 degrees of Capricorn ever since January 12th of 2020, and you think about Jupiter and Pluto meeting at 23, but most importantly, Saturn and Pluto meeting at 22 degrees with the sun and a Mercury retrograde cazimi, it was something that changed the whole world. Obviously, you look at your life since January 12th of 2020 and ask yourself if you're in the exact same shoes that you were in before that, or if the world you live in is the exact same. It's likely not. But that put us here, and that put us into destiny, and that put us into a deep sense of power within ourselves. But it's very dark. It's very hard. It's a grind. It's very Capricornian, and that's kicked off a 33-year cycle. So it's not like by any means, this just goes away. But having Venus and Mars hit that spot together with an exact sextile to Neptune, which will come to 22 degrees, is wow. Talk about already having a hot, intense collective 12th house, which is the house of self-undoing, but it's the house of spirituality. It's the house of God in many ways. Some would say the 9th house is the house of God, but that's more religious God. 12th house is much more spiritual, universe, all things and how they're connected. It's sensitive, though, and it can get us into very weird places, and there can be high anxiety that we're going through, or trying to close out chapters, too, because we have to remember Pisces is the 12th house. This is where all things come to an end to start over again. So we're really starting to see more of that. And of course, this is another big date this week. Is February 22nd on Tuesday is that exact first pass of Pluto on America's Pluto. So what a week we have, and we do get that exact Pluto return, the first one. Now, Pluto is retrograde in America's chart, so really it's the retrograde in, I believe it's July, it might be June, that actually makes that conjunction for the exact Pluto return. But there's something about February 22nd, 2022 that definitely can't be overlooked, as it's likely about to have domino effects that carry out for the rest of this year. It's not like a Pluto return is just a one day, bam, February 22nd, maybe, but it's likely with all the Capricorn cycles in the background and Venus and Mars there, like this is much more about the determination to keep going as dominoes start falling and to not fall with the dominoes, if that makes sense. So we're starting to see some crazy stuff in the world, like Canada's it's wild. It blows my mind seeing what's going on up there. It's the same with Australia. Australia was going through the same thing, and it's like we don't hear much about that. Everything kind of shifted up there, but as far as the Pluto return for America goes, it's all about the Constitution. It's all about the rights. It's all about that piece of paper. That is the most important thing that America as a country has, and with a Pluto in Capricorn natally, it's like that is literally everything, is that Constitution and the rights that were based upon freedom. That was the idea. It was the difference. It was the republic. So that's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. It's almost like, even with the Pluto return being a big deal for America, and America being, on the brink of so many different things, we'll see. I think it's up to the people, because it is, we the people in the United States that have to hold that line and hold that integrity that it was really founded on. Because clearly, as many of you know, I know I have a lot of Canadian viewers, but in America, that Constitution was created to protect you from the government, to protect your rights, to give you freedom, to give you a voice. So I would say at this point, with this first pass and being in where we're at in this world, this is the time, if you were ever going to learn the Constitution, the amendments, this is the time. I know I'm going to learn it more. I could do more work on that myself. So that's something I'm going to be doing this week. I think it's very important for all of us. But even if you're watching from another country, there's something about this Pluto return and the United States having the world reserve currency that doesn't just affect the United States, it affects the whole world. So it's like everybody should look up what the United States did to have a constitution, to have a republic. As we're seeing tyranny and so much ramp up in this world, this is where, we're on the brink of so many things, but of course a revolution is necessary in many ways. So we have to be that. We have to be the people for the revolution. And it's definitely time to stake our claim for independence as this year progresses. It's going to be big on that, but it's hard with such a heavy 12th house because we have to give up a lot. The 12th house is surrender. Pisces is surrender. So we're surrendering a lot of things in life that maybe we've been attached to. And of course, that South Node in Scorpio brings up attachments very deeply. Like, what are the attachments that we have in life? Are they physical attachments? Are they emotional attachments? Are they people attachments? Saturn in Aquarius too. What are we attached to right now that isn't serving our evolution, that isn't getting us to the next page, that isn't getting us to the next chapter? And are we willing to surrender and have faith that if we do, it will have a payout in the end, while still holding, of course, the core values within you, the soul values, the most inner part of your soul knows needs to be expressed and to come out. And as Mercury comes out of shadow this week, I think that we do have a much more clear understanding of what the future can look like and possibly how to come together better with people, how to be on the same team, how to make win-wins in life. Because Aquarius does want the best for all, but at the same time, it's not going to give up its freedoms just to fit in, just to be a part of something that isn't free. So I think we're all at a place too where we have to really, get that figured out. And that's one thing that Mercury in Aquarius will do, is it will figure whatever the problem is, it will figure it out and fix it. So we're at a point where we can see really, I think, where the self-undoing is at in our own personal lives, where it's at in the world, and start to connect in new ways and innovative ways. These are definitely new thoughts, creative thoughts, very divine, channeled, coming through. So that's definitely worth paying attention to. But whoa, is there something about whatever the plan was that got ignited on January 12th of 2020? There is something about that taking the next level, and it's hard to think that Mars and Venus will be an exact sextile to Neptune. I'm sorry, because yes, it's beautiful and they're getting along, but still, Mars Neptune is never something. It's not like an ideal this is where you can get really diluted. You can get really rose-colored glasses on for your ambitions right now, especially in Capricorn. And like, what is destiny? What is the aspects that you need to keep pushing for? But there's almost something about not seeing anything perfectly clear right now, especially in our personal lives. And we can over-idealize people. We can over-idealize relationships with Venus there, or our desires within people, within connection, relationships, money. If there was ever a time where I'd be paying close attention to the market with a South Node in Scorpio and Venus, of course, ruling monetary substance, value, money. Like, if you're just going to say, no, money, my money's fine, my money's good, everything, there won't be something that happens. It would fall on a week like this, with where Pluto's at in Capricorn, with Mars and Venus, and with that sextile to Neptune. We likely won't be paying attention because maybe we have some over-idealized thoughts about people and relationships. And I think that that's definitely heightened right now. Like, I think that there is this, especially with Mars and Venus just together for so long, there is desire out there to have passion, to have that spark with another person. There's something about wanting that really bad. And I think that we're at a place where we have to look at the mission and we have to look at our soul. And if we're going to put the rose-colored glasses on about money or people right now, and we're not listening to a deeper calling of what needs to change, what needs to shift within our own soul so that we can get through where we're going, it's foggy out there. So it's not a great week, really, I'll be honest, to make really big decisions. I know I'm always saying these are big decision times, but this is pay attention. This isn't big decisions, this is pay attention. This is watch everything closely, and the dots are going to start connecting. It's not about jumping the gun, and being super gung-ho right now, because we're going to have some illusion out there, and that illusion is going to feel damn good. And that's going to be the sextile, is whatever it is out there that we have the rose-colored glasses on, it's going to look so good. It's going to feel good. It's going to be intoxicating, whether it's money, whether it's Bitcoin taking a big pump, whether it's the stock market jumping. But there's something about that 22 degrees. It's just dark there. There's a darkness at that spot in Capricorn. And there's, just pay attention. Pay attention in your own lives, wherever 22 degrees of Capricorn is right now, with the sextile to Neptune and with Mars and Venus there, whatever house that's in your chart, whatever planets are getting aspected by that. Like if you have Libra planets at 22 degrees getting squared, Aries planets, pay close attention to what's going on at that part in your life, because we could be overlooking a lot in that area. For me, I'll be honest, it's my Eros at 22 Capricorn in my 10th. So, very fitting, as Eros is passion and really sexuality, sexual energy. So, it's, of course, Pluto rules my 8th, and Saturn's squaring my Pluto, and Pluto's in the 8th. So, I'll be very honest. I'm going through some emotional desire shit about what I want and how I can get it. And it's very strange because I'm not used to that. I'm usually very on my shit, put together. So I know because that part of my chart is so activated, and that Eros, like, pay attention to where that is in your chart. Close. No rose-colored glasses. Be brutally honest. And don't go backwards. If something is coming up from that part of your life in that area, don't just go into the illusion. This is a great time for imagination. This is a great time to use your creativity to plan. This is a great time to be on it, like I said, like almost taking notes. Be very aware. But is it time to jump the gun yet? I don't know. But don't fall for anything. And that's where I think that's the biggest message of this week is like, don't fall for it. Whatever it is, don't fall for it. Whether it's in your own personal life or whether something comes out in the world. Even if it looks really good. It's very interesting. Governor Newsom here in California, he lifted all mandates. At this time where Canada's going through what they're going through, Project Veritas just disclosed the FDA telling that Biden has given them orders to inoculate 6-month-old babies, to have yearly subscriptions to it, mandated subscriptions to it, and yet pulled it in California. Is that too good to be true? I think so. So there's something out there that's going to look too good to be true this week, and don't fall for it. You know what I'm saying? But we are going to get the moon in Capricorn, so it's going to finish off the week there and just come into Aquarius. It's going to go through Sag, but, and then the moon's going to come through behind and kind of have to emotionally deal with what Mars and Venus were up to right there. So we're going to be feeling very deeply this week. It's a very felt time within ourselves. I don't think we can escape that, but at the same time, we're going to want to escape that any way we can, whether it's people, romance, whatever, you name it, alcohol, drugs. It's going to be a high level of wanting to not deal with the heavy shit. And that's the shit we need to pay attention to, because that's the real plan and that's the real stuff that's going on in the background in this world. So keep an eye out for that. And I think you'll be good. But we are building up to this Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Pisces, and I do think that there is a lot to be grateful for in life too. There's a lot, we've made it this far. That's very impressive. Anybody who's made it this far feeling better within themselves or more sane than they did maybe before 2020, it's because you've had your mission activated, and maybe it becomes more clear what that is. And maybe all along it was just faith. Maybe all along it was just surrendering to not knowing, but trusting. Trusting in something bigger, that there's a bigger plan that trumps the big plan of Capricorn. It was all part of a bigger plan. It was all part of something to take us somewhere else, to take us to a place that we're really meant to be at moving forward and not backwards. Because I think we're at a place where we can want to slip into something that isn't going to be beneficial to our soul. And let's be critical, be on it. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the chart. I got it here. Let's see if I can make that a little smaller. Make it a little bit small, or I'll just move it over here. Keep it over there on the dailies, but oh, hey. All right. So here we are on Monday. I think Monday's very interesting just because the moon's in Scorpio and we're going to be feeling very intensely, and it's already been pretty intense. We came off the sun at 2 degrees Pisces, and Sunday had me in my emotions more than I even want to admit. Like, as a Aquarius moon with a somewhat of a distrust for emotion and trying to figure things out before I get into emotion, it was deep, and I had to go way, way deeper than I wanted to go. And I think as a collective, that's how it's going to feel a little bit too with the Scorpio moon. And realizing that to find comfort right now, you have to tear something down. There's no comfort in the old obsessions and the old programs, because Venus and Mars are getting ready to come this week to 22 degrees, and that is a very wild stamp on really what your biggest maybe issue is that's holding you back from your destiny, to be completely honest. Wherever 22 Capricorn is in your chart, or what's getting aspected by that point. I'm talking to myself too. And with Neptune at 22 degrees in that sextile, we can literally not want to go there. We can want to stay in some ideal, some dream that isn't real, when everything is showing us this radical different way. And that there is so much abundance. And I think that just having the sun start moving towards Jupiter as we come to Tuesday, it's like, yeah, we're within 8 degrees. We're getting there. You know, it's not going to conjunct this week, but Jupiter's a big planet. So Jupiter is definitely putting truth down, especially strong in Pisces, universal truth to our soul here, to our light. But with the sun at 4 degrees, like, it is like a breakdown to break through. And with the moon in Scorpio, square Saturn, it's definitely not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel great. We can want to isolate ourselves. We can want to lock ourselves up in some tower and just not pay attention to anything important, or not give the trust that we need to give to people, or not be vulnerable. We could be so stuck in our own little emotional trap that we're not either reaching out for help, or we feel like, what's the point? Nobody would ever help me. And I think that would be a big illusion too right now. I think we want to be around energy that has our back. I think, yes, we have to do this work on our own. It's not about other people doing it for us or numbing that pain, which I would say Venus sextile Neptune would be some like, oh, people can numb me out. No, but this is definitely about boundaries. I would say the boundaries are the most important part. So when something actually comes in that feels in alignment, are you going to let it in, or are you just going to block it out? So we have to know our boundaries in a time where it doesn't feel like boundaries even exist. Or if they do exist, they're just very isolated. Like, we can be locking ourselves up right now, emotionally and, mentally too. So it's not going to be fun. And of course, the moon will come off the opposition to Uranus. Monday's going to be intense. Tuesday is going to be harsh, because we see that we have to move towards something better, something of true value. There is a maturity right now to not have rose-colored glasses on. Even Eros is conjunct Jupiter, so I think people are everything right now, and we want connection so bad, but where are we missing right now? Where are we missing the point in our own spiritual evolution? And are we blocking out something that's magical too? So it can go, I think, both ways. We're either having some weird guilt on ourselves, or not putting ourselves out there fully, or putting up some mask to keep us away from what's being divinely brought into our life. Or we're just going into something that's divinely meant to leave our lives. It's going to be really hard to see clearly this week, and it's going to be very deeply felt. So it's kind of the start of the week. As I go to it's really Wednesday, Thursday, but we do get this 22-degree Mars and Jupiter, where the Saturn Pluto met with the sun, changed our whole world. So this is like relationships are actually a destined part right now of changing our whole world. And the Matrix called that out. If you've seen Matrix 4, it was the divine unions. So there's destined people in our lives right now to get us to the mission, to get us out of the matrix, to get us out of the program. And, I would say that's the benefit of the Neptune transit, is like literally God is putting people in front of our face right now to get us out of the program, but it's all about choice too. And we have to make the choice to go with the right people to get out of the program. Or are we like Trinity in there, had the family. She had to walk away from the program family. And I'm not telling people to walk away from their families, but this is the idea behind it, is that it's always a relationship that gets you to the next level every time. Even Hypergate taught me that, which is on sale, by the way. You should get it. I think I'll put a link in the description after this video. It's everything. That's the way out. Is divine union, feminine and masculine in balance, in harmony, working together for Capricorn, a mission, for a destiny. It's pretty wild. Like, I think that it's pretty amazing, but it's also harsh, because this is where the Matrix pulls you back in. And if you've seen the Matrix, like, go see it. I don't want to give it all away, but like literally Trinity and Neo are about to get back and like make shit happen. And the architect brings in her family right at the moment to make her make the decision, right at that last second. It just always comes with a choice. Maybe it's not family, whatever. Maybe it's not a relationship, but there's always a choice in these times that is so important to get us out and where we ultimately need to be, and to break us free. And I think that's where things can go, is into a full freedom state that is dissolving the program that we run in our lives from the past us, as we've all taken a step in evolution to go farther. So it's pretty wild just having that, to be honest. And even Cupido, which is beauty, which is art, it is relationship, it is a lot of Libra energy. Into trans-Neptunian planet, the sun will be in sextile that this week too. I know I've been saying it, but like it is relationship time, but it's divine relationship. It is actually relationships that are fully in alignment time. Relationship to anything. And maybe this last weekend was a cold, hard look at that with the moon in Libra, where the sun was in Pisces, and I don't think anybody wanted to make a decision. Like everything was being weighed out and tossed up in the air. And I don't know, maybe it was hard. And this week kind of that carries on. Like there's going to be intense feelings about decisions that need to be made to balance things out in our life. But the moon in Scorpio early in the week is like, are you going to destroy the stuff that's out of alignment or not? And I know it's not comfortable. And I know you have to square Saturn. I know everything comes down to big choices. And I know it's radical every time the moon comes here with Uranus and things get shaken up. And Mercury comes out of shadow this week too, which will be on Wednesday, which is Mercury Day. So there is something about our mind getting free where that we can actually find the puzzle piece we've been looking for. We can actually put something together that's different, that's something that we haven't done yet, especially spiritually with the Sun, Neptune, and Jupiter in Pisces. And then it's spiritual about what you're doing here, Capricorn. What are you doing? Why are you here? Like there's something here this week that like it's going to be so easy to see. It'll be right in front of our face, but nobody will want to see it. And that's going to be the Neptune. It's crazy. It's going to be so obvious. And the moon will be in Sag, which is actually going to try and give us a little boost here, give us some fire, give us something to identify with, give us something to move for and pursue, and what we can journey off for, and like actually believe that we can change a story, actually believe that there's something bigger that we're here for that isn't part of just the old. And I think it's very interesting when the moon comes into Capricorn, and which will be this weekend, and it will end up meeting at that 22-degree spot and sextile Neptune with Mars and Venus, sextile Eros in Pisces also, that we're going to have to make big decisions this week about more relationship stuff and more mission oriented about our really where we're going. Who is going to make it up to the top of this mountain? Like, who can get up to the top of this mountain with me? It does remind me of like going on a backpacking trip or going to hike a mountain or climb a mountain. And if you bring someone that can't make it, it's like, oh, just leave me here. You go along without me. I'll never leave you. That's what, that's the kind of stuff I'm getting at with this. But is that keeping you from a mission? Is that keeping you from something that you truly feel deep within you has to be accomplished or moved towards? It's intense right now. It's intense on a very deep soul level, and Jupiter is amplifying our sensitivities to another level. So it can be extremely dreamy and imaginative, and I think that's great. But at some point by the end of this week, when the moon comes into Capricorn and Venus and Mars move off of the sextile to Neptune, there's going to be a moment where we're going to have to figure it out. And of course the moon will come into Sagittarius and square all the Pisces just before that, Thursday and Friday. So really late Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it's going to be a big square to the sun. It's going to be at 5 degrees. It's going to be, we're going to be spun mentally. And Mercury will be just about to come out of shadow where, we'll be spun up. We can feel extremely twisted and not know which journey we are trying to go on. And feel like the only way out of it is something that will numb the reality of life. Something that will numb the truth. And remember, like, Jupiter is the truth. Gemini is truth, but it's subjective truth. And Sagittarius is more of a universal truth. It's the truth of your beliefs and what that's connected to. And what would be, if you want to use the word religion, or what your faith is. What are we going to ceremony for this week? I think we have to get really in tune with that and not overlook those things. Or it's like missing maybe some of the greatest beauty, the greatest, I don't know. I believe in destiny. I don't even know if I really believe in free will. I believe in fate. These are fated times right now of a big defining moment, like the guides are watching up there, like, which way are we going? It's on you. Are we going this way and taking this path? And maybe eventually that path leads back to this ultimate path. But maybe this path, although it might seem impossible right now, it might seem like there's no way right now, but maybe that's actually the path that once you get around the corner, you're like, oh my gosh, thank God I went this way. Look at this. It's amazing. There's something powerful happening. I don't think anybody can question that. But it's whatever's going to happen, we're all presented with a choice to go through it in our own way that we already pre-planned out. And I'm just going to let you know that this is where everything's going to get different. Everything's going to maybe feel really, really good, and then a rug will get pulled out and it's not good. Or things are going to get really, really intense because you had to act right now. And everything's moving forward. We have to move forward. We can't go backwards anymore. We can't. And I know I was hyping up February, and I think February it's been a lot. I think that it's amazing. At the same time, it's like we know that destiny is the most important thing right now, that there's big choices, that there's big connections, that there's big relationships, that there's big potential out there, and that there's so much faith that we can connect to. But there's still this cold, dense 3D reality that we actually have to do something in, and we have to change. And if we're not going to initiate the change, it's going to initiate itself regardless. And that's where I think the South Node in Scorpio is going to be very hard. And we're also starting to see Saturn come to 18 degrees, and Saturn's going to start squaring these nodes at the same time that Jupiter and Neptune conjunct. And I'll pull up that chart in April. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, a once-in-a-lifetime transit that we'll never see again in our lives. Hasn't happened since 1856 with Jupiter-Neptune in Pisces. And Saturn square the nodes. The biggest decision of our spiritual destiny and of closing out an old program and going into a new way. A heaven on earth with a North Node in Taurus, or going into trauma, destruction. So let's look at some other stuff while I'm here, because I'm very interested in, of course, next week we get Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees, which is a Martian 9 degree. Like, we are literally cutting away trauma. We are cutting away a lot of emotion that we have held on to for too long that isn't a part of a destiny, of a career, if you call it that, with Capricorn. You know, I don't even like using the word career. I feel like career is like the old world. It's just your mission now. Capricorn's your mission. Fuck the career. What's your mission? What's your 10th house? What is the peak in your life? What did you come here to reach high for? And as a collective, we're at that spot. And I know we all have a different road and a different mission, but it's relationship stuff, and it just keeps coming back with the Venus Mars and all that it's going through with relationship stuff. And Eros will be an exact sextile to that Venus and Mars with Pluto. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, the way out is 100% what the Matrix said. It's through relationships. It's through the opposite of your energy that can help you through this time. The opposite polarity in life is what's going to get you through. Just one thing isn't going to do it. And Saturn in Aquarius it sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck, but it does, because it tries to take people and turn them against each other, when Aquarius is about all for one for all. You know, connectedness, tribe. And it's hard with Jupiter. Actually, like, it was a little bit better, you know, when Jupiter was there. Jupiter, like, softened Saturn's blow, and now you look around, like, it's so hard to connect with people right now. Everybody's got their own little dream going. You know, we got to find connection, and Mercury's going to meet with Saturn, and next week's a big deal too. Like, I'm telling you, the transformation of your desires and the people that are on the mission with you and have the similar desires, and there's, like, legit, you know, intensity to keep going with both sides. Like, it's so mission oriented. It's insane. And, you know, we're going to see too, like, Mars Pluto, that's a 2-year conjunction. Like, so this is and they're both pretty, like, I would say Pluto's pretty strong in Capricorn, and I would say, of course, Mars is exalted there, and Pluto and Mars are, you know, higher and lower octaves of each other. This is our subconscious, deep emotional desires that we might not even be aware of, but that we just need, and we just scrooge. What's the word I'm looking for? Admit, just, I need this. I need this status in Capricorn. And Mars is our conscious desires. It's the things that we actually want to identify with. So we're identifying with a rebirth of what the actual mission is, and the people and the connections and the relationships and the money and the value that actually goes along with that. But there has to be something from the last 2 years that we didn't cut out, because a lot of us took huge leaps over these last 2 years. I'm not going to discount that for 1 second. I think people have grown spiritually and even just within their own 3D self. Like, we have grown so much, and we've gotten so strong, and it's just not a time to quit, because this is like the last thing that has to get cut out. And Mars is a cutting agent, and Pluto just destroys to bring life. So you can't have life without death. Can't have death without life. Scorpio, 8th house, Pluto. And Mars is activating that. And it's getting ready to come to 28 degrees, which we've never seen before, and it's made the first pass of the U.S. Pluto return. So the intensity with these last couple degrees of Capricorn is just about to get so intense, and we have to be so smart. And that's going to be Mercury and Saturn in Aquarius. Is like, you have to be smart. You have to be. Aquarius is smart. It's smart, intellectual, it's fixed air, fixed intellect. Like, we don't have a choice right now but to make smart decisions. We don't have a choice but to make smart connections. Because the ones that don't make sense are going to blow up. And then we'll play the victim card and be like, why? I didn't want that to blow up. So it's like, we're at a point now where we make the decisions and we do the things that we have to do, or things get ripped away, and then we're in victim mode, and that's going to take us right into guilt, and that's a downward spiral, and we're in a crazy 12th house transit, and we will slip so fast and so hard. And look at that, it's March 2nd, new moon in Pisces with Jupiter. And I love this energy so much as we do get Venus. Gosh, look at that new moon chart. All the stuff I just talked about, plus it's a new moon in Pisces, which, of course, is taking us further into Never Never Land than we've ever gone before, with Jupiter and Pisces there. Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. We are going so far down into the looking glass. And it's going to get so weird. But what is, what's wrong with weird? What's wrong with going somewhere you've never been, or exploring the far reaches of the universe? There's nothing wrong with it. And we have to. And we have to have the strongest faith we've ever had. And we have to know our soul right now. And this is where we're coming into a time where the most magical things in your life can happen, but they can only happen if you're willing to dissolve the stuff that isn't part of the mission. And I know people aren't going to want to hear it. I know it's not fun. But there's so much beautiful energy on the other side. It's almost as if God is sitting on the other side of any big decision that has to be made in your life that's self-undoing or going backwards, that is just sitting there with open arms, like, I got you, for having the faith, for trusting in me, in the universe, for trusting in yourself, trusting your intuition. We're going to be in one of the most psychic times we've ever lived in. Psychic. Telepathy. This is where, if you pick the right partners with all this Venus and Mars, and we come into March, you're just going to be, you might not even have to say words to people that you're connected to. Ever. If telepathy was ever just going to hit people, it would be now. And I think people already do. So I'm not saying that people don't communicate that way, but it's crazy how connected spiritually people are going to become, and how important that's going to be for each and every individual unique mission and soul. What I really want to look at too is, of course, Saturn's going to start squaring the nodes here, and it'll square at 23 degrees, I believe. But what's more impressive is Jupiter creeping up on Neptune. And I think it's April 8th, 2022. but it won't be exactly April 8th. Jupiter will have to pass. So April 12th. April 12th of 2022. Saturn exactly square the nodes. Those nodes just moved. You go back a day. Bang. 2250s. And the nodes, April 11th, will be at 22 degrees, which will be aspecting that 22 degrees of Capricorn, which Venus and Mars are crossing over, activating more of that hole. And the nodes will be making aspects. South node, Pluto will be at 28 degrees, where we've never seen Pluto in our lives. Venus will be in Pisces, and we'll have the three strongest planets in Pisces together. Venus exalted, Jupiter and Neptune conjunct. I mean, literally, like, we are in such a crazy time. And, okay, get this, too. And I'll bring up the chart to show you. Edit. I don't need to edit that way. I'll go here. 1926. What was going on in 1926? 1926 was the prohibition against alcohol. And the prohibition against alcohol, the governments actually put poison in the alcohol to deter people from drinking it. And that went on until 1933. So, what came out with Jupiter in Aquarius? I'll give you, I think you know. Let's go back a year. What came out with Jupiter in Aquarius? What was the great experiment all about on humans, Aquarius? Well, oh no, trust the you-know-what. Science. Aquarius, with a south node, of course, in Sag for us at that time, which was the greatest belief of a new religion. It was science. That happened, but it didn't stop until 1933, and it got really bad when Jupiter had come into Pisces. It carried on until 1933, which is crazy to me because Jupiter ends up all the way in Virgo by 1933. So, what if, let's just say everybody wants everybody to wake up and realize that somebody got poisoned by the government? What if that doesn't even come out until 2028? What if it's not even widely, known where people see the truth until then? So this is why we can't try and bring people up this mountain, because it's just such a long game. And it's worth considering. Because by 1933, the people had realized. I'll show you this. I guess I gotta go back on here. In 1926, the federal government poisoned alcohol in an effort to curb alcohol consumption during the Prohibition. As a result, by the time Prohibition ended in 1933, an estimated 10,000 people died from being poisoned by their own government. Now, that's just a meme, but is it a truth meme? I'm willing to find out with you guys right here on this weekly live. So, let's go find out. But first, I have to get this off full screen. And my camera's kind of blocking this other monitor, so I apologize for ducking and diving. 1926 Pro prohibition. Oh, fact checkers. Oh, how funny. The fact checkers. Wonder what they said. Oh, mixed bag on the rating. The fact checkers don't know what's true. When the manufacturers and sale of alcohol was illegal between 1920 and 1933, regulatory agencies encouraged measures making industrial alcohol undrinkable, including the addition of lethal chemicals. What's false? The government did not poison supplies of alcohol meant for human consumption, nor did it intentionally aim to kill those who drank their tainted poison. I feel like this just says it all, but maybe not for some people. I don't know. Like, of course, there's a fact checked on that. Like, I need to move this so I can see. All right. U.S. government poisoned 10,000 Americans during Prohibition. Yeah, 10,000. You know what's crazy is it's so small compared to right now. We're about to see some crazy shit because remember too that 1856 was the last time that Neptune and Jupiter were in Pisces. Well, what was huge around that time? Insane amounts of some of the craziest propaganda ever. Forcing slavery down the throat of a free soiler. What's this? Some Chinese stuff? Oh my gosh. It's so funny that we're in a world right now that is the way it is, and it's so backward. Look at this. Look at this. I hope you can see my cursor, but oh my God. Bleeding Summer. In May 1856, Massachusetts Republican Senator Charles Sumner gave a speech, The Crime Against Kansas. That was Bleeding Kansas, by the way, which was extremely bloody, and it was over voter fraud, which I've shown on this channel, and of course David's gone into as well. I mean, this is 1856. We're about to see something that is about to be the most propagated something in our life. And that's where the spell is going to try and continue. And we have to pay attention. And I know you guys will. Look at this. But really now, it's not about color. It's about people standing up against the redcoats, against control, against tyranny, for legit just human rights. So I wanted to take you forward because this is not just a normal year, of course. And whoa. What is going on? Oh, I'm still in Zoom. Okay. I was wondering what that was. These are not normal times we live in, everybody. And I'll be really honest with you. The stuff with Saturn square the nodes and Jupiter, Neptune, like we're talking Saturn square the nodes, right? Like this is the biggest destined choices like we've all had to make, and it's part of a skip step. Like it's a collective evolutionary skip step of your highest character, of the reason you came here, for the mission of, are you going to connect to that and be a rebel for what that is, to be a revolutionary for what that is that isn't the same. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, I really do, but anything of the same that isn't aligned with a mission, like, yeah, there can be things from that world that are still part of the mission. I'm not saying it's all of it, but there's something out there for everybody, and it's probably 22 degrees Capricorn in our charts that is like the most important thing that we have to change. So with Saturn square the nodes and Neptune and Jupiter conjunct, and what is Uranus doing? Oh, 13 degrees, getting really close to that 15th degree, which Uranus will hit that 15th degree of Taurus a month later? Yeah, a month later. A little less than a month. And what's up with 15 Taurus? Well, 15 Taurus semi-squares the Aries point, 0 Aries. It semi-squares 0 Cancer. So it semi-squares both the cardinal initiating points, which are very sensitive. And what happened when Uranus was at 15 degrees? I don't know. Let's go back and look at what was going on with Uranus at 15 degrees. Position. Uranus. 15. Taurus. Last. What does that say? March 16th, 1939. Gosh, I have my recording stuff on my big monitor. I'm using my like little laptop for like this chart. But nonetheless, March 16th, 1939. Okay, what is March 16th, 1939? Gosh, we need to know. March 16th, 1939. What happened? Oh. Oh, that's a stupid page. But it says, occupies Czechoslovakia, Hungary, annexes Republic. Anyways, the important stuff really with this is German rearmament and expansion. The German troops occupied, that's what they occupied, Czechoslovakia. Negotiated with France and Britain a series of operations to acquire additional territory. What was the territory for? I wonder. Could it have been for camps? January 17th of 19, or whatever date that was, 1939, the German government prohibits Jews from working as nurses, veterinarians, holistic practitioners, and dentists. In his capacity as Adolf Hitler in the second command of the Führer of the German Reich, to coordinate solutions to enforced immigration of Jews from the Greater German Reich. To establish a central office for Jewish immigration to Berlin. Slovakia declares its independence from Czechoslovak state. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that. But this was just a few years before World War II, which was when Uranus ingressed into Gemini. So there's explosive stuff right around the corner. very explosive, very controlling, very Nazi-esque stuff that is resurfacing. This is in autumn of 1939, Hitler signs an authorization later backdated to September, so-called euthanasia program from future prosecution. Euthanasia policy is designed to systematically kill Germans with mental and physical disabilities living in institutions, persons of both genders and all ages whom the participating physicians deemed incurable and thus unworthy of life. Wow. My friends. I love you guys very much. I think I'm going to end this with, we have to show ourselves right now that we're worthy of life in this, one of the most crazy 12th house collective transits that we're ever going to go through as a collective over years and years. That if we don't evolve right now and we don't go a path that's higher for our spiritual mission, for something of spiritual purity, we're just going to get taken over. And the euthanasia program, which is already it feels like that's what's going on in the world, to be honest with you. Like we're living through a giant euthanasia program. Anyways, I've been feeling some heavy emotions with Saturn square my Pluto, but it is on my North Node, and I don't know. I presented this all with you today, and I am absolutely sending you all my best and all my love. I hope that it was informative or gave you perspective, and hopefully I was able to do my job today. See what the tarot card is for the week. I think overall this week is going to be where we can lose ourselves in our own propaganda, in the world's propaganda, and get lost. And we can push really hard for something that looks so perfect and so dreamy and so magical. But are we paying attention to the fine print? Are we paying attention to the really important things? Are we taking the time, at least, to look at another angle before we just dive in fully? That's going to be the hard thing this week to do. 10 of Wands. We're dropping a lot of weight off. We've reached a completion point. And this is where we either drop it off, say sayonara, or we literally break our back the rest of the way up this mountain. Queen of Cups in reverse. Not feeling like we have it within ourselves to take care of our true emotional needs that are going to get us to that top, because we're still hanging on to something that we've clearly have held on to for way too long. And the overall is the Five of Wands in reverse. I think that that's where we need to get out of conflict in life, is to stop fighting our own need to make a change and get out of something to get into something really good. And you know, it's going to take a lot within us. It's not like, I feel like we're in a very like this Pisces season it's amazing because it's going to show us all the shit that our subconscious wanted to just overlook. Like we got to deal with it, drop it off, actually put forth the energy to, you know, and it's probably not even a conflict. It's probably going to be the easiest thing ever. You know, that's what I feel with that Five of Wands, to be honest, too. It's like we're fighting ourselves so much, and we already spiritually know we've evolved past something, that it's just like, just stop making it a conflict. All right, I'm out. I love you guys very much, and I'll see you for all the dailies. I'm going to go ahead and get ready and set up and do the weekly tarot and pull some cards for this week. Looking forward to that. And then I'll be back after that with the daily forecast for Monday. So if you're up late on a Sunday night, I'm going to be cranking out some videos. Love you all. Have a great week, and I'll catch you next time. Much love. Peace.